Happy Devil's Wednesday. I don't know if people can hear me. Do I sound muffled, Nick?
Yeah, there you go. Fix your mic.
Yeah, I gotta fix my mic. Hold on a second here. Yeah, let's try that again. That was a failed experiment on my part. Hold on a second. Happy Devil's Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan Address, episode 67, titled Severe Defense. What a title. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Pucks and Pitchforks editor-in-chief, Nick Villano. Oh, what a podcast we have tonight. Welcome in on Facebook Live, Twitter Periscope, YouTube Live, and Twitch, all powered by Nova Product Design on the Primetime Radio Network. Nick, we talked about it off air. We've talked about this in the last year. We are going to have a sports agent on the podcast of the State of the Fan Address. And a sports agent, like, that's our dream job. That's our dream job, right?
I mean, when I was a kid, I saw Jerry Maguire, and I was like, "Yep, that's gonna be me." I want to be that. I want to deal with the ups and downs, the negotiations. Sam, I've been going to yard sales since I was 3 years old, probably younger, and I've been talking people down for the majority of my life. So I figured that it just made sense that negotiation would be a part of my career one day. But now I'm here negotiating with you to talk about what the name of a breakfast meat is. So I guess that's good too.
Yeah, well, you know what? You are a very good, hard negotiator, Nick, based on personal experience. But, that being a sports agent, it's got to be a dirty job. I mean, you got to fly all over the place. I mean, I saw Scott Boras take a picture of him on a plane with nobody there right now during this COVID era. And he has a full helmet face mask, that he bought on Amazon. And that's where I got the idea. I bought one myself, but like a real, like, shields and everything. These guys travel. And you got to think the amount of pressure they may be under if the press leaking rumors and yada, 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 or when their client gets traded, yada, 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 and, all that kind of stuff. Well, we'll talk to Jason Davidson tonight. He is from Thunder Creek Professional Player Management, and he's also Damon Severson's agent. Am I correct on that, Nick?
His agency represents Damon Severson. I'm not sure how they settle who represents who, but the Thunder Creek agency represents Damon Severson. So I don't want to put words in his mouth and say how they divvy up those assets. I don't want to say this way or that way, but I do know that the Thunder Creek agency, if you look on the Thunder Creek agency, Damon Severson, actually, it's nice to see the Devils uniform as one of the top profiles on there when it comes to people they represent. So that's always fun. Yeah. Always fun to see Devils up top. Love seeing the Devils up top. But have you watched any of the hockey, Sam?
I have, barely. I'm one of those bitter fans that, like, hey, my team got screwed out of this 2014 tournament, so I'm gonna look the other way.
Did we get screwed, or were we just terrible? I think we were just terrible, and I think we should probably stay home as punishment.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's not talk about it. But
we were bad. We were bad. Let's for us. Just think about this, Sam. For us to get in the playoffs, you also have to put in the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's bad.
Rough go at it. But I'm watching a little bit this Battle of New York, the Islanders and the Rangers, and I gotta say I watched the Penguins and the Flyers yesterday, and it just felt a little more crisp. There's just a lot of sloppiness in this game. You could tell there's a lot of kinks to be worked out with the quarantine, and we're playing real hockey in 3 days, Sam. So it seems like there's a lot of things that these teams need to work out, and I'm sure that they're kind of playing fast and loose since this is an exhibition, closer to like how they play the preseason. Just trying things out, seeing where they're at physically and talent wise and conditioning wise and things like that. How long can they play a shift? But there's a lot of weird, like, when games delve and just hit after hit after hit after hit or hit, we might like it as fans, but it usually means that there's not a crispness to the game. And that seems to be what this Rangers-Islanders game has turned into, but it's still a 0-0 score. So, saw Andy Green wearing number 4. It was a very strange sight. There's just a lot going on in this game. But hey, I mean, at least hockey's doing a lot better than baseball, right, Sam?
Yeah, I think so. It's sad what's happened to baseball with the Marlins. I mean, first to start off with like 7 players, then it's suddenly 17 or 18 last time I checked. Hopefully I got those numbers right. But, it's the NHL leaned towards Dr. Fauci when they planned this whole thing. And they took a different approach with the hub cities, not just, one spot or just traveling with no fans, just 4 hub cities and in Canada, in the middle of nowhere, kind of, but still. And, I'm hoping it works out. I'm hoping we get to see good live hockey in the summer while we're in our shorts, t-shirt. It feels like the Stanley Cup is coming. And what I don't like is, again, I'm a bitter fan with the NHL that, statistically these are not they're playoff games, but they're not the opening round. But I see Stanley Cup on the ice when they are doing exhibition games.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now.
Yeah, well, Gary Bettman, let me tell you something. The optics don't look good, and you wonder why NHL fans, hardcore as they are, come up with conspiracy theories about you, Gary. That's why. And by the way, go help Shorts Guy out and buy a mask. Everyone said that they wanted one, so we put the link up, a web store up. He didn't even get one sale. Come on, people. Facebook Live, buy a mask. Buy 2.
Go buy a mask.
Go buy a mask. I bought a mask. Nick bought a mask. And the Shorts Guy's like, that doesn't count. It's like, okay.
Maybe I'll buy more masks. I live in Florida, Sam, so I need more masks.
Yeah.
I need all the masks. I need a double up on the Shorts Guy mask, triple up on the Shorts Guy mask.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm still waiting for that Garden State Parkway T-shirt. So I might just have to settle because I don't have the Garden State Parkway mask. So that's probably going to be the next purchase. Is the Garden State?
Yeah.
Or can I say that? Am I allowed to say that? I'm probably not allowed to say it. Never mind. Nothing. I said nothing, Sam. Let's talk that hockey.
Well, I just gotta answer Matt Juni. He's like, Sam, are the Let's Go Devils podcast shirts with the Garden State Parkway logo available? Let's get this straight. It's not the Garden State Parkway logo. We can't say that. What we can say is it's a Let's Go Devils podcast logo. Anyway, let's not get into intellectual property law. Yeah, it's a parody. It's a parody. Anyway, let's talk some hockey. None of this shenanigans right now. So Nick, you've been watching the games, right?
I have. Well, I watched 2, and then I watched part of the the Blackhawks Blues, and I'm catching bits and pieces of games. That's the thing, is that I've always watched playoffs. I haven't always been a avid random team hockey watcher. The past 2 years, I've probably watched a little bit more, but with having to watch every single Devils game for the blog and the podcast, I'm not, I don't have a ton of free time, so I don't spend it usually watching a Blackhawks Ducks game. But with hockey being gone for so long, I'm going to probably have hockey on my TV 70% of the time that it's on. And maybe I'll get sick. I'm very excited about this best of 5 round. I think it's going to be probably some of the most fun hockey just because of what's on the line, where everybody's at. We did picks on the podcast on Monday, on the Primetime Radio Network, and it's so hard to make these picks. I picked the Penguins and the Stars to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, but a lot of people picked the Penguins last year and they got swept in the first round, and that's just the randomness of the playoffs in general. And then you add this element of being off for months and having a 5-game series in the beginning, and it just kind of throws everything for a complete and utter loop. And every league is going to have to deal with this. Baseball changed their playoff format. We got the bubble in the NBA in Disney, and that's going to change things completely. And they have this weird play-in round thing where you have to beat a team 2 times. Everybody's trying a different sort of weirdness to make it quote-unquote fair for the playoff teams. But I think that the NHL is the one that I'm actually excited about this. I'm not excited about baseball because I think it just changes the, we added this extra wild card team so that the top team could get that advantage back, and then we just took it away this year by making them play a 3-game series at the beginning. So hockey did the right thing, giving the top 4 seeds. They're going to play a round robin to see who's the number 1 seed, which is an interesting little nugget. But they at least get something for being a top 4 seed. And then these other 16 teams are going to fight it out in these 5-game series where you're just going to have a ton of hockey to watch. This marathon that's going to happen on Saturday, I feel bad for my wife because she's going to be like, hey, you think we can get the yard mode this weekend? I'll be like, no, we're going to watch hockey. Hockey is my chore. And that's all that's going to happen. That's probably not true. I'll probably go during an intermission. We have a small lawn, so I could probably bang out some yard work in the intermission. But again, it's going to be all hockey all the time, especially at the beginning, because I've been yearning for it. I'm sad. This did make me sad, Sam, that Devils hockey is not a part of this. At first, I was like, the Devils don't deserve it. Keep them home, keep them safe, keep them healthy. But I am a little envious that I get to see the fan-sided blogs of the Rangers and the Islanders commenting on Twitter, and the Blackhawks fan-sided blog is commenting on Twitter that hockey's back and they get to talk about their team and their players. And the articles they're writing is look at what Adam Boquist is going to do, and Anders Lee, and I saw a couple articles on Sami Vatanen from Kane's Country, another fan-sided blog. It's that envy that I'm feeling now that all these blogs and all these fans, I see a lot of other fans just talking about their team playing hockey, and now I'm a little envious that we're not seeing Nico and Jack and PK and Damon and all the other major Devils even getting a shot at this.
Yeah. It all goes back to that last game before the shutdown, before the pause. Devils Penguins. Who would ever thought? Had the Devils won that game, I think they would have been in. They would have just squeaked in.
Yeah, I think so. I think they were a point, right? A point behind Montreal or something.
Yeah, Mac Black was on fire. Now, at the same time, this may help the Devils if you look on the positive side of things. Number one, Nico Hischier is in the military out in Switzerland. I think that's going to help him. we've always talked about him being a leader, but I think he's doing a service to his country. And when he comes back, I think he's going to come back as a smarter man. Okay. I know there's a lot of talk about 9 months, without having any kind of competitive play. Yes, but you know what? They will be the freshest. They will be the freshest. The 7 teams. Yeah, one of.
Yeah.
Right. I rather, selfishly, I rather see my players, my team, be safe right now.
Yeah,
relax.
I understand that, and that's true.
Yeah, because you worry.
We also
about
don't
that.
know. We just don't know what this virus's long-term effects are. Like, we don't, especially on an athlete, as somebody who has an elite body structure in most cases, and that lung capacity is so important to keeping that athletic ability up to a top level. Having a virus that attacks not only lungs but blood is a scary thing. So I do agree. Absolutely. If you asked me to make that decision right now, I'd say let's keep them home. But you're right. Just the safety of our players is paramount. But I got to give the NHL credit. And I don't do this a lot, Sam. I don't know if you know this. I don't give the NHL credit a lot. But they
not at all
crushed this thing. They have crushed this thing. The fact that they have no positive tests is almost an impossibility. But it sounds like, unlike other sports, they're following the rules to a T. There's no going out for hot wings from a team star player. There's no, team with cases and then them not social distancing and saying that they voted and they had no inkling to even not play a game. I mean, there's just, sports are making bad decisions all around, and yet the NHL, they're like, we're doing these hub cities. We're gonna have teams here, have teams there. Everybody's just got to follow the rules. We're gonna let certain people in for this round, certain people in for that round, and they just seem to be following everything better than some of the other sports. I don't know about MLS. I know that a team had to leave because of COVID cases, but I think that those seem to have been acquired or whatever. They seem to have been contracted before they got to that bubble. I don't know how it's been since then. But I don't want to talk about every sport as if they're all messing up, but I just know that our sport, hockey, is doing a good job doing this bubble situation, and it looks like we can sustain this through a Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah. Are you talking about, getting back to the chicken wings, are you talking about the basketball player that went to his favorite American ballet to get chicken wings? Is that the one?
Yeah. I was trying to be coy about it, but yeah.
Okay.
He was just going to get food. Can't blame him for just going to get food, right? Can't blame him for that. Yeah. He's well within his rights to go get food.
Yeah, if anybody, this is actually a true story. There's another American ballet in beautiful Warren County. Anybody from Facebook Live in Warren County would know this ballet. It's called the Wedgwood Inn. Now, we're not promoting them or whatever, but one day when I was at Bobby's Auto Care, they said, "Oh yeah, go to the Wedgwood Inn. They actually have great burgers." I'm like, "Really? An American ballet that has great burgers?" But I was waiting for my car to be fixed, so I went across the street and got great burger. Actually, it was pretty good burgers. On top of that, she's probably going to kill me. My mother-in-law went there to get the great burgers. She went. I mean, you just go in and out. What's that?
Are they on Uber Eats? Can I get it on Uber Eats or Postmates?
You know
or
what?
Something?
I don't even know. I mean, I'm talking about like 2 years ago. This and that, but anybody in Warren County, they actually have good burgers. Chow Burgers is a good burger. Again, we're not sponsored by them, but we're endorsing them because they're just good burgers. Anyway, getting back to the story. Yeah. So you know what? But also, I'll tell you what. As much as I hate the Philadelphia Flyers, there's a couple things that is kind of cool going on here. Did you see the T-shirts that they were wearing?
Who?
Did you, the Philadelphia Flyers? Did you see the T-shirts? The players what they were wearing? They were pretty cool.
I didn't.
It says "Flying to Bumble."
Oh, jeez.
It was funny. I thought it was funny. You know,
as somebody
marketing.
As somebody who said that one Tinder date could ruin the entire return to NHL play. Talking about Bumble is quite an interesting move that Philadelphia made, but I expect nothing less from Gritty and company.
Yeah, but you know what? They're going to Bumble. What is it with the PH?
Must be
with the PH.
Must be.
Yeah, it's got it. And then the other thing too, I believe Oscar's on the roster.
Yeah,
isn't Oscar he on the? Yeah. So
yeah, I think he made it. So good for him. That's somebody who didn't make the roster.
But that's courageous. I mean, he's high risk. I mean, just today, I know it's another sport in the NFL. The New York Giants left tackle Nate Solder is taking a year off because he's a cancer survivor. His son has cancer, and it's just too much of a risk, So.
Yeah, I mean, think about that. Because Vollmer's the highest paid tackle in the league. He's making like $17 million this year, something crazy like that.
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah,
I get it. Like health over everything. But Marcus Cannon, another really highly paid tackle for the New England Patriots. He's I believe a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma survivor. So he's also somebody who's in that high risk category. So you hear about Lindblom going there, and I mean, how much more high risk can he be? He literally is he in remission? Did they just put him in remission, or I mean, he was fighting it as early as weeks ago. So this is, but I gotta trust the doctors here. I mean, that's the thing, is that with this whole thing, I just don't know. I'm trying to get as many opinions on this as possible from scientists and doctors, and kind of putting them up against each other and seeing which ones went out. And it's hard because there's so many people talking at once, and there's so many people with their hands in it. And that's what these NHL teams are doing too. I mean, these team doctors were brought in to deal with torn ACLs and broken ankles, and now they're dealing with global pathogens and a pandemic. And everybody's looking at them because those are the ones that these people trust. And, I remember when Brian Boyle was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia a couple years ago with the Devils, and it started with the team doctor finding something. So these players trust these team doctors with everything. And now these team doctors are responsible. And I don't think that the teams are putting this on them. I just know how trusted team doctors can be, and I know they're the ones that are going to be asked these questions. These players don't have access to scientists. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe the NHL has made this available, but as far as I know, the first person that they're going to go after is probably going to ask questions to is the team doctor. So they're now dealing with a situation that they did not sign up for, and they have to make, I'm sure they pushed them off and say, oh, you should ask this doctor that you should ask that doctor that, but then they have to give their they have to sign off on them talking to another person, and then they're putting their name to that person. It's a lot of responsibility.
The liability is tremendous if you think about it.
Oh, it's got to be insane. I mean, we heard about the waivers that a lot of people have been asked to sign for certain things, and we're up in arms about a lot of these things, and I get it. When we're talking about people signing waivers to go to school, we don't have to get into politics, but that part's kind of insane. It's a little different for these athletes who I don't remember if the NHL was in the waiver talk. I thought maybe the NFL was talking about waivers, just kind of like lose the liability of the league. But these are the weird conversations that these leagues had to have to get this going. But going back to the original point was supposed to be positive. I am excited that the NHL has found a way to get on TV, to put players on ice, even if it's in the summer and the ice is terrible, because it's summer ice. They'll figure it out. It's going to take some time to get the ice to where it needs to be, to hold all these hockey games. It is what it is. I'm just happy that hockey is back, no matter what it is. Stanley Cup qualifiers, August 1st. I'm so excited, Sam. Let's just talk about the positives about hockey. And Sam, you got to start watching hockey. You got to watch all the hockey. You got to be with me on this. I need that level of excitement that you're going to consume all of the puck that you possibly can.
Well, I'll tell you what. You know I'm a big New York Mets fan, right? Huge New York Mets fan. And normally hockey isn't going on, when the Mets are blowing games. So maybe I should just delve into some NHL hockey, so I don't have to see Edwin Diaz blow another game, right?
That was rough, Sam. How did that happen again?
Yeah, so early in the season. I don't know. But anyway,
and I think you guys are. Did you blow a lead to the Red Sox? Because that would make me sad. I think you did.
You know what? You know what? I'll check the score right now. I'm looking on Twitter, Periscope, looking at our live feeds. Rebecca Morse actually plugged us. She replied to our masks that we're selling, trying to keep everyone safe, representing the podcast. You could buy one, help Shorts Guy out. Everyone said that, I want one, and then nobody buys. It's just like, come on, people. I mean, it takes time to make this stuff. Shorts Guy makes it by hand. This is high-quality stuff. He doesn't have a sweatshop in New Jersey. He does it himself in New Jersey. This is all American-made.
He's sweating his shop.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, he does it himself. Sometimes I wonder. I was like, hey, you're a teacher. Do you get some of your students to do arts and crafts time? He's like, no, I do it myself. It's like, oh, okay. You may want to try. Anyway.
Sam, you ever have one of those surreal moments that kind of hit you out of nowhere?
Yeah. You have one right now?
So I just looked down at the podcast episode. We're at episode 67. We're 2/3 of the way to 100 already. How did the time fly by this fast? I mean, I know we're the pandemic has made things kind of just fly, but things have just been. I mean, 67. And we're growing every week, and I feel like that we've done a really good job. Just to pat you on the back, Sam. We've done a really good job of having the Sunday podcast and the Wednesday podcast and just having them work off each other and kind of bring two different voices to the same subject. So I just looked down. I was like, we're at 67 already. And we're getting all these interesting guests. And, some of the people that I've been working to get, I'm in talks with. And there's going to be some interesting guests. That today's podcast, Jason Davidson, was one of my pushes to get different kinds of guests. And I hear things like the Jeff Marek and Elliot Friedman's podcast and Greg Wyshynski's Puck Soup podcast. They talk to people who aren't just players or coaches. Like, obviously it's great to talk to those people and get those perspectives. But when you get, an agent like today, you get a complete different perspective on the game. And other people I'm going to work on, it's just looking at different aspects of hockey and New Jersey Devils hockey. So I'm excited to talk to more people, and we're going to talk to our regular guests. We'll try to get, I'm sure Chico will come on again later in the summer. You just had him on a week ago, and it's always fun to talk to Chico. I'm sure we're going to talk to Bryce and Chris Westcott and a couple of other regular guests. Dan Rice, I'm sure, will come on at some point. So we'll still have those regular guests that you all come back and you love, but we're going to try to get some different people on the podcast just to kind of get some interesting perspectives and some different looks at hockey. So I'm excited, Sam. I'm very excited about this summer of the New Jersey the Let's Go Devils podcast because, you would think that without hockey, we would run out of things to talk about. But I think we're going to have more to talk about than ever. And I think that we're just going to have a very easy time giving people that place to go every Sunday and Wednesday to kind of escape from their lives and just think about hockey and the wonderful thing that is this game of ice and game of the gods is what they should call it. I'm gonna give Gary Bettman that one for free, that marketing play for free. Throw on some game of the gods.
Well, I will say this though. We didn't talk about this, but behind the scenes, you know, I know the boys on the Sunday show, well, especially me, was a little irked about the family game. And we were like, we thought about it to ourselves. Like, we've had all these ideas. We talk about, hey, we should do the games because we do the game at the end of this podcast every Wednesday nights, right? So up in the games, I will just say this. I'll tell you off air. We've got some interactive games that we've been playing with behind the scenes where we're actually inviting you, the Devils fan, to come on live. Not fake live on this platform to win prizes. And I was playing some of these games and I'm like, holy crap, we can virtually host game shows on this platform and give away stuff. We don't we sell masks, we sell t-shirts with that, but we try our best just to give away stuff. We don't believe in like overcharging people and whatever. So that's a little teaser for you Devils fans. And Shorts Guy and I have been just like, we were just kind of talking and just experimenting. I'll tell you behind the scenes what we're doing. It is so cool. So cool. It even impressed Rebecca Morse, number 9 of the Riveters. When I told her, she's like, I got to get my friends. I'm like, what kind of friends? Like Riveters friends? Yeah. That's how cool it is, right? Got to plug the
business. I mean, it would be awesome to get a couple of the Riveters on the podcast to do some of these games. That'll be a lot of fun. And you know, hey, you know me, I'm the game guy. So if you need some ideas and some games, I got a new one every single week. So we got I got a fun game.
Yep. Sorry.
I got a fun game tonight. Oh no, you go. You speak. I'll go off camera. No. I'll hide.
Okay. No, seriously. We as a team behind the scenes of the Let's Go Devils podcast, which is on the Primetime Radio Network, we even teamed up with Hockey on Tap. The other show that it's a bunch Ranger fan, a Penguins fan, and a Lightning fan, and I make my appearances because I'm producing it. Like, this is about hockey, and right now, this is a long off season. Long off season. And for me, like, we can easily tank it, bag it, be like, there's no hockey. I think the fans will understand 3 or 4 months without us. Let's ask Facebook Live. What happens if we took a 4-month leave of absence, which is we are entitled to if we wanted to? Would you be sad? I want to know. Tweet us, comment. We are the most commented podcast. Like, how did we stop the podcast? Even though if Devils hockey was, done for 3 years, God forbid, we'd still be doing this freaking podcast.
We'd still be here.
It's
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Give me the Leo gift. The Leo gift. I'm not going to curse, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, Craig Best has this great, I think he was the one that put on the Devils. He had a welder helmet that he put in the Devils, Let's Go Devils group, which, by the way, the Let's Go Devils group hit over 1,000 members. 1,000 members. Concurrently, we are over 79,000 downloads, lifetime downloads, heading to 80,000. I haven't even checked our viewership numbers. The comments are just going up and up and up as we go deep into this long stretch of an unusual offseason. So, but Craig Best says, this Blah is live. Yes, we are live. I just wanted to say we are always live. We don't do fake live. We don't do fake.
If you're over under, the over under was 22 minutes until you said the words fake live, and the over went out today. So that's good. The under usually prevails 9 times out of 10. The under prevails on the over under bets on when Sam's going to say the words fake live. Usually it's about 3 minutes in, but today we went a whole 30 minutes using fake lives.
Well, let me tell you something. About doing live. Doing live is actually pretty difficult, but I rather do something difficult because I'm the producer behind the scenes. Like, I'm doing the switchboard, checking Nick's connection, which looks beautiful today, knock on wood. But one of the main reason why we do things live? Did I ever tell you this? It's aside from it being off the cuff sometimes and we screw up, whatever, I don't do post edits. I just literally just upload the audio version on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, where you can find the podcast after the show, or, after it ends. Because that's the greatest thing. Post edits annoy me. I hate doing post edits. Because you're never satisfied, right? Do you ever have that problem in the news industry when you're doing edits?
Oh, all the time. I yell at a lot of people on the daily, just because I'm like, you didn't edit this right. You didn't edit that right. And there's times it hasn't lately. My job has changed because of the pandemic, obviously. But before on my normal job, there was a small part of my job that was editing video and audio and putting together some things. And I am a perfectionist when it comes to that. So I will sit there and I will look at it. I can edit as fast as anybody who it's not their physical job to edit. I will put my skills of editing up to anybody when it comes to speed. So I'll put together real fast and then I'll go through it with a fine-tuned comb what I just edited and then make tweaks and tweak 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 and tweak. And that's how I spend my time. I'm like, let me put it together real quick and then make adjustments. I don't know. That's always been how I've worked on everything. When it comes to my writing, when it comes to my editing, when it comes to all of my jobs, I've always thrown it together real quick so I have a base and then tweaked it to make it perfect.
Yeah. Well, I should get our next our guest, Jason Davidson, on the Nova Product Design Hotline. So why don't you chat and comment with our fellow commenters in the Facebook Live?
Oh yeah, we got lots of comments coming in on the Facebook Live today. Actually, my comments just froze, so I gotta redo that. Right now we have 69 comments, which is interesting. I won't comment on that. But we got Craig Best talking about the Let's Go Devils Welders. Oh, is that a new group that are we working on new groups over here? The Let's Go Devils Welders. That's something. Hey, if the Let's Go Devils Welders wants to start their own podcast, I'm sure Sam is somebody who will produce the Let's Go Welders podcast. Here we go. What's up with the Rangers suck shirt on the website? That's actually a question that Sam has to answer. I don't deal with the t-shirts. He's the t-shirt guy. I have enough trouble getting the t-shirt. But I do have my Let's Go Devils podcast t-shirt. I'm not wearing it tonight. We went with the Flash. I figured red, and then we got this special fan-sided gold hat. Now, I do want to mention fan-sided is doing a couple exciting things, and they're going to start really taking care of some of their writers. So if you've ever thought about writing about the New Jersey Devils, there's some exciting updates coming to how that process works and how you are compensated for that in the near future. I don't have all the details, so I don't want to get into specifics. But if you've ever thought about writing about your favorite team as a hobby, as a side gig, as something just to get a couple dollars for beer money, because we all need it during this pandemic, now is the time to apply. You can contact me. You can even contact Sam. Sam will get you in touch with me. But I give everyone a chance. If you have no experience, I will get you to where you need to be. But if you're looking just apply. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I never take offense to anything not working out. We live in a weird world right now, and I think now is the time for everyone to just try something out. So go to fansided.com/join, and then it'll give you the option to join the Pucks and Pitchforks blog. And we'll, like I said, I'll take you with open arms. I will, I've been writing for over a decade now, and I will teach you the weird SEO things and all these little intricate things that Google tries to do to bury everybody's articles. It's just such a weird. Google's weird, and they're trying to dictate things, and you gotta trick them. And it's hard to be smarter than Google because Google has a lot of smart people working out there. But there's ways to do it, and we'll teach you our little tricks, and we develop them, and then we'll get your writing up to snuff. And like I said, we're changing the compensation, the way that the compensation works. I've always compensated my writers personally, but it sounds like there's another tier coming to that. So it looks like that there's going to be extra compensation. Come join the team. We got 10 writers on right now, and I'm always looking for more. I'm always looking for new voices, different voices, people to bring their perspective to the Pucks and Pitchforks blog. And then when you get to be a Pucks and Pitchforks writer, you get to come on this podcast. You get to play the games every week. I'm always looking for new people to play the games. So you know where that is. Going back to the Facebook comments, Matt Jr. said, how often do you need to post? I have people who post twice a month, and I have Vinny who posts every day. So I don't hold you to anything, but just know the amount that you put into it is the amount that you're going to get out of it. The elusive Gusev, Dale Bass talks about Dadonov was his line mate in Russia. Evgeny Dadonov is a player that I do really like for the Devils. I think he makes a lot of sense. I think he's the number one player on the free agency list for the Devils when I look at my ideal scenario. I know I've talked a lot about Taylor Hall returning and getting Patrick Laine and things like that, but that's going to be a very expensive endeavor. Hall is still, he laughed at the $7 million a year offer that Arizona gave him. That also shows where the Hall negotiations are. I think that somebody like Calgary would give him 8.5 or something like that. So I think the Devils would have to go to somewhere in that realm. So either way, I think that Dadonov would be a very, very interesting player for the Devils to target. Sam, you're back.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous. You know why I'm nervous? Because, looking at when we were talking before, a sports agent, that's like my dream job. I feel like I miss my calling, So I'm really excited for our next guest. His name is Jason Davidson from Thunder Creek Professional Player Management. You can find him on Twitter at @TC_Wolfpack. Jason, welcome to the State of the Fan Address. You are on with Sam and Nick. How are you tonight?
I'm good, Sam. Thanks for having me. Nick reached out last week, and been looking forward to it ever since.
Oh yeah, this is going to be a ton of fun. I'm very excited to talk. Like I said, we're trying to get a couple more different kinds of voices on the podcast to kind of get people on to know the inner makings of the NHL and how it's more than just the people you see on TV. There's just so many hands in the pot. And speaking of which, usually on July, what is it? It's July 29th. This is about the time where probably things would slow down for you a little bit, but it probably would be immensely busy about a month ago. But that just wasn't the case this year. Things are just a lot different with the pause and pushing everything back. So how has that changed your preparation? I'm not sure how many of your clients are going into free agency, but, I do know that you represent at least one person who's supposed to go in the first round of the draft, maybe a couple other draft picks, you're looking to represent. How has that changed just how you're talking to clients that we're pushing everything back 4, 5, 6, 7 months?
Well, it felt first off, when everything kind of, where I guess I could say the world stopped there in March, it seemed like March lasted for 90 days. And then the talk that, the resume to play and return to play, and, the players all had to vote, and, you're in contact with your players in regards to that. And then there's CBA extension discussions. So that opens up another, another phone call or another round of questions with your clients. And so you'd think that it wasn't real busy, but it was. We were busy trying to get busy again. And, but in regards to how, June and July went, it's been I guess that was a little bit of a treat, maybe. Once the announcements were made that the return to play was going to happen and the draft's going to be pushed out to October 6th, then you got some answers for your young kids that are draft eligible, and it's probably not what they wanted to hear. We were planning on being in Montreal with Braden Schneider this year, who's projected to be a top 50 pick in the entry draft. So, it's disappointing for them. We've been to the draft with players, like Severson in 2012. Like, we were in Pittsburgh. Like, that's something you don't ever forget. You get to share those moments with their family, and it's not looking like that'll be the case here for the 2020 entry draft. But, and free agency, of course, as you guys know, that's being pushed out. You can't have free agency when you haven't even completed the season. So it's definitely been different isn't even the appropriate word. It's been a roller coaster, whirlwind, upside down, backflip, triple Lutz kind of a last 3.5, 4 months.
Yeah, it's absolutely just been wild. That's just the only word I could think of. It's just wild. How much has changed, and how much the NHL and all sports have just had to just pivot and change everything just on the fly and everything, and multiple leagues have had to change CBAs, and that's including the NHL, which that's a conversation you probably didn't think you were going to have with clients all of a sudden, be like, oh, how does this CBA affect me? How does all this impact me? Has most of your conversations with your clients just been impact on them? Has that been most of your conversations, or are you still talking about what you normally talk about on top of that?
No, I think most of the conversation, I've got a restricted free agent in Chandler Stevenson with arbitration rights. Ethan Bear in Edmonton is a restricted free agent with no arb rights. So, it's different for both of them. But they're everybody's asking, what do you think? Where how should we vote when it was on the return to play in the CBA? Because the players all voted, and I think it was a 70-some% in favor to return to play and accept and adopt the addendum or the amendments to the CBA. But I think there needed to be a common ground, and I don't think anybody was really looking for a fight this year, especially with the pandemic. It just wouldn't have made any sense to try to bully up on either side. I think, and I think that for the most part, that's what the players were just curious. Is this good? Do we want to vote? They just need a little encouraging on their decision, and if they had any concerns or what I thought, you hear all the rumors about what's being said and what they're going to try to pass through, and you just advise and guide your guys through those meetings a little bit, and they can communicate what they really want to say to their team reps, which then their team reps in turn pass it on to the NHLPA.
Yeah, and honestly, this was the best CBA negotiations of my lifetime, so it was great just to kind of get through it. We're going to have hockey for the next few years. But I do want to pivot myself just a little bit. I want to ask one question. You mentioned Damon Severson and going to the draft with him and having your agency, represent him through all this. What's it been like to see him go from a second-round pick, which is in the NHL, that's not a sure thing, but extremely quickly just adapt to the NHL game. And you've already, you guys have already negotiated the contract extension with him. He's going to be with the Devils for a while. What is it like to see somebody who you invested in from the very beginning turn into what he is today?
Well, I enjoy a real close relationship with all my guys. We're kind of a boutique style agency, if you will. Like, we don't have hundreds of clients like some of the big firms do. So I do enjoy a relationship with all my guys, and for sure, no different. Probably modeled my style of reputation with Damon Severson and Michael Furlan. But when Damon got drafted, it was obvious. Like I said, it was a great day. We were in Pittsburgh, got to go enjoy a ball game after, had some fun, and his whole family was there. And you guys know Big Doug Sevo. You've seen him on the dad's trips. Like, he's the party, And Damon's a confident kid. He believes in his ability and what he can do. And when he got back to Kelowna for his 18-year-old year, like, he dominated in the Western League for the next 2 years. We did his entry-level deal, Lou Lamoriello and I did. And, Damon really kind of broke the mold in New Jersey playing as a 20-year-old. If you recall, I believe Adam Larson was in the press box for the first couple games, and Damon Severson was on the blue line, and there was whispers about him in Calder talks, and then he blocked that shot from Alexander Ovechkin and actually played on a broken foot for about a week and a half, and then ended up missing, I think it was something like 30 games. But, and then fast forward it to now, 430 games later, he's 6'2", 205 pounds, right-handed, puck-moving, smooth skating D-man. Well, that's there. Who isn't looking for one of those today in the National Hockey League? I was listening to you guys talk about free agents and stuff prior to getting on, and like that, those are commodities in today's game. So it's been real rewarding. It's like watching your own kids grow up, and that's how I look at it. Really, I keep in touch with Damon in the off season, and make sure he's doing good and keeping at it. I want to be encouraging him to make sure he's not taking advantage of a $25 million contract, because there's a bigger one coming if he keeps up the pace.
Agreed. Jason, one of the fascinating things, I mean, we talk about sports, but for me personally, I'm kind of like a sports nerd, but the one thing I love about off season is the art of like the negotiation. You said that you negotiated with Lou Lamoriello, which, he has his rules and quirks of if you leak something, it's off. The rumors of that, which has actually been, I guess now you confirmed that, but take us a little bit like deep down inside, because anytime something's happening, like for me as a fan, I'm a captologist. So I'm looking at numbers. I'm also looking at rumors like, oh, this player's from this part of the world. He could fly home easily from this city, that. But one thing that I'm really fascinated is like, where do all these rumors come from? Do they come from the team, the agents, the agency, or they're just made up, the press getting wrong? Like, tell us a little bit about that, because I'm just fascinated. Where does all this information come from? And is it all part of the strategy of getting a good and fair deal for your client?
Well, yeah, it depends who you ask, I guess, fellas. For example, last year I had Michael Furlan as an unrestricted free agent, and you're getting it from every beat writer in every market that has heard possibly that, for example, the Dallas Stars are interested. So you got the beat writers texting you, because our numbers are, you can find them on the NHLPA website, so it's not a secret, or emails. So I don't need to play those games. I just go straight at it, head to head, and try to do it in a professional manner, that this is what the kid's worth. This is what he's done. This is what I project he's going to do. And then obviously they come at you, well, yeah, but, and your comps are usually higher than their comps, and you got to find that middle ground. The nice thing about unrestricted free agency is you can sit back and take the calls. When you have no arbitration rights, then basically the team has all the leverage. They really do, unless you're a very special player and you come out of your entry level contract with some significant games played and some significant stats that mean something to the National Hockey League. And then in your mid-20s contracts where you have some arbitration, then you got then somebody else is going to decide for you what that contract is going to be if you and your GM can't get it figured out. But it's every GM's got their own way of doing things, and sometimes you do your negotiating a little different with that certain GM. So it's it never gets boring, guys. I'll tell you that. It's never boring.
Sure.
Some of them done right away. Some of them take like Damon's deal. I believe we worked on Damon's deal. It was September, I think. For sure it was September, because I think we finally agreed to it when the Young Stars tournament was on in Penticton, British Columbia. But at the time, Edmonton Oilers, Calgary, Vancouver, and maybe Winnipeg were over there in September, first weekend of September. So, that was over 2.5 months negotiating that last deal.
Yeah, and you're talking about these special players, especially with the restricted free agency, and I think you have one in Ethan Bear, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the Edmonton Oilers get this guy seemingly out of nowhere, probably from the national lexicon, but a player that's just rock solid on the blue line, and now they go from missing the playoffs every year to now they're the 5th seed. I think he had a lot to do with that, just his sentence. So I'm curious, when you're watching that happen and you know that he has restricted free agency on the horizon, how do those conversations go? Is it something you're like, since you're not as in control of it, are you having those conversations with him throughout the season? You don't have to talk about Ethan specifically, just in general, the restricted free agents. Are you having those conversations throughout the season, or is it kind of a wait-and-see approach?
No, like with the client, you do have you discuss stuff with them throughout the year. You do, because they're not as seasoned as the guys that have been in the league for 3 or 4 years. But it's amazing what these players figure out about the business in just 2 or 3 years. Like Damon and I, we can talk numbers and contracts and whatnot, because everybody's got a beat on what's going on. But usually the guys coming out of their entry level deals. And that's fair. Like, they're young, and that's why they have guys like myself in their corners. So they're not taken advantage of or anything. So yeah, you definitely have those conversations. And for the most part, I'm just trying to keep a player like Ethan going in the right direction, because he's having such a successful year. You want him to just not get too cocky or enjoy it too much, that there's you got to go to work just like we do every day, guys. You got to pack your lunch and go to work, and some days work's a little more difficult than other days. And those little things, the social media things, what's going around in the world right now, you don't really need everybody knowing about it. So we do keep some tabs on what's happening on social media with their guys, and make sure they're not probably throwing tweets or Instagrams out that shouldn't be. And so yeah, it's kind of I wouldn't want to use the word babysitting. It's a mentorship. That's what I really try to do with my guys, is help mentor them into being professional people, not just professional athletes.
Sam, I can't hear you, and I see you trying to talk, but
sorry about that. Sorry, Jason. Yeah, a little technical difficulties. Anyway, Jason, we alluded to this, before you came on, about this, for Nick and I, like, our dream job. How did you ever get into this profession? Like, how did you start? Is it something you always dreamed of, or is this something accidentally happened and then just evolved and here you are now? How did you start?
Well, that's a good question, Sam. I grew up in small town Saskatchewan. playing for the Stanley Cup every day after school and every day at lunch and every weekend, and at 19 years old, I had to make a choice whether I was going to try and make it as a junior A hockey player here in the Sask Junior Hockey League or pursue a career as a rodeo bullfighter. I know that's veering off the left here, little fellas, so bear with me here. But I grew up in a ranch and I was involved in the Western lifestyle my whole entire life, and had been around rodeo and competed in rodeo. So I started as a rodeo bullfighter, which is we don't like the word rodeo clown, but our job was to protect the bull riders. So you needed to be somewhat athletic, and you needed to have some livestock sense, I guess, just like you talk about hockey IQ. I like to think I was an A+ in livestock IQ, and I turned pro in my first year, which was a lot quicker than most, and I basically started managing myself and my own endorsements when nobody in that industry was doing it. And when I retired after a 11-year professional career, I had this base of partners and sponsors, and there was a family of young bull riders in the same community that I grew up in that all ended up winning a national title, very successful family. I started looking after them. And then Brad Devine from Thunder Creek Professional Player Management saw all the attention these guys were getting in local media and whatnot. My name was attached to it most times, and he called me in. And I'll never forget, it was after the World Juniors were here in Saskatoon actually that year in 2009-10. And, I'm just like, wow, to get back in hockey again, you couldn't fulfill your dream as a kid because you just weren't good enough. And now you get to come back and help some kids in the business, which, I didn't even think twice. I probably, after about a year and a half or 2 years into it, fellas, though, I probably looked at myself in the mirror a couple times and wondered if, is this really what I want to do? Because it's a big commitment, and it's an eat what you kill business. The way we manage our clients, we don't get salaries unless our players are getting salaries. So those first few years, when you just don't crack into the business and sign Connor McDavid. I'll tell you that. And you don't find a unrestricted free agent in your first 6 months in the business either. So you start with 14 and 15-year-old kids. I was fortunate enough to get Michael Furland as my very first client in Brandon. And he went on to, I really learned a lot with him. I really did, like good and bad. We went through everything together, him and I. But it was a great learning curve. And, Damon's draft year, I had him and Chandler Stevenson. So that was great. Another player by the name of Tyrell Seaman that year. I had 3 draft picks that year. So it's been good. I honestly, I have to say, everything has come from my Western roots, and I still circle back and represent a few professional bull riders today, and a couple road
amazing.
Just to keep myself busy,
Yeah, just a little extra work on you.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's hilarious. That's probably one of the most outlandish stories I've ever heard. You started as representing people in the rodeo business, and now you're, a hockey agent, with millions of dollars contracts under your belt. So that's if that's not the Canadian dream, I don't know what is.
Well, a good way to put. You know what? It was. I'm the type of guy, and just like I really see that in your guys' player in Damon Severson. Tell Damon Severson he can't do something. I just dare you, because he'll prove you wrong every time. And that's just kind of the mentality. It must be the Western Canadian or Saskatchewan mentality, guys. I don't know, but or something in the water here maybe. But yeah, we think alike, him and I.
Now, we're coming to the end of our interview with us, and you've given us some of the best information. And I do hate ending on a somber note, but I've seen. I believe it was today that the Edmonton Oilers sent out their honored the life of Colby Cave, who is a player for them this year, and he unfortunately passed away to a medical condition. I was just curious if you had any stories to share about Colby, and that story literally breaks my heart every time I see it, and every time you see the details and just kind of the things, and his wife has been one of the strongest people I've seen through this process. But maybe just one quick word about Colby and just kind of what it was like to represent him.
Well, God, that's going to be tough, guys. Again, I just explained to you what kind of relationship I had with my guys. So, and Colby grew up in the same environment as I did, on a ranch, raising cattle and wanting to be a hockey player, and he succeeded at it. So we were an instant fit since his junior days, and Colby never got drafted to the National Hockey League, and was prepared to get his name called one year, and it didn't. Always attended a camp. I believe he's at San Jose's camp one year, and then Boston signed him right out of his 20-year-old year, and he was the assistant captain the next year. That just speaks volumes of what kind of trust Don Sweeney and the coaching staff, which was Bruce Cassidy at the time, had in this redheaded kid that had never been drafted in his second year in the American Hockey League. And we talked about UFAs and whatnot. Colby was going to be a Group 6 free agent this year, which means because he didn't have 80 games in, he was going to be an unrestricted free agent after this playoff run with Edmonton. And that's what we work for. It is to be in a position where you can take calls on players. And Colby and I, again, we've talked about this earlier in the call in the pod, you guys, about talking with the players. Colby and I had a number of conversations. And he was up and down this year. Being married with Emily, that's tough. When you're going from Bakersfield to Edmonton, it's not like Albany to New Jersey. It's a haul. So it was hard. But I said this, I'm not sure who quoted me on this once when Colby passed after April 11th there, but I was looking back through all my texts, trying to make sense of what happened to Colby and, missing him and feeling for the family. And I look back all the times he was up and down for the last 2.5, since he changed his number, I had all those texts. He never complained one time, not once. He never complained one time about being called. And his teammates said, if somebody else got the call up, he was the first guy to congratulate him and tell him, he'd been there. This is what you expect. Go do good. And if he got sent down, he just told his mom and dad, General, and his wife, Emily, you know what? I just got to work harder. That's just the mentality he had. And I think the amount of people that Colby Cave has touched that didn't have a clue who he was until he passed, now Colby Cave. That's the bottom line. I think everybody feels they know him, and it's unfortunate that it takes such a tragedy for people to understand that, because if we could miraculously bring Colby Cave back right now, he'd be the you're talking about unrestricted free agents and who wants who. He'd be at the top of the list for a lot of teams, just by what you've heard and the kind of character and teammate Colby Cave was. Those sort of things should have never happened to a guy like Colby. But you know what? We're living in crazy times. It's unfortunate, and I miss him. I really do, guys. I miss him.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Jason. And the picture that Colby's wife put out on social media was just absolute. You felt the emotion and the love there, and I'm actually having tears in my eyes just hearing you speak about him. And yeah, I mean, it was very, very powerful, to say the least. But Jason, thank you so much for coming on to our podcast and sharing these stories and your time. And we hope to have you on again.
Yeah, anytime, guys. It was my pleasure. I appreciate you reaching out. I know we're a long ways apart, but hopefully we entertain some of your guests.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Jason. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Take care, guys.
That is Jason Davidson. Wow, that was powerful. That was absolutely powerful. Like I wasn't prepared. I knew that you were. I mean, I have tears in my eyes. I had tears in my eyes when I saw the picture that his wife put out. Like, I got to take off my glasses. I'm not ashamed, because if you're not teary-eyed about that story, you're not a human being. It's so sad. And it goes beyond hockey. It's one of those stories that just goes beyond hockey. And the way he told it, and I'm telling you, Nick, we were behind the scenes. Like, I didn't know how to close that, because that's tough, because you could feel the pain, you could feel the love, even through his agent. It was just amazing. It was beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, I dealt with a very large loss in my life. Probably, it's hard to keep track of, honestly. But I lost my best friend probably, I guess it was 3 years ago. The reason why I say I guess it was 3 years ago, because the grief that caused me, I don't remember the year that happened after that. I remember from the day he died to his funeral, which was a month, because he died visiting me, and we had to get him back to New Jersey, and that took a month. And I remember everything that happened there. And then from the day of his funeral, I can't tell you one thing that happened that year, because it's gone. And since then, I consider myself a pretty strong person. I guess everybody considers themselves a strong person, but dealing with that was almost like dealing with your own mortality, because you understand that you are not as strong as you think you are. And yep. Since that happened to me, and that situation happened, I've been very not obsessed, but I've been very intrigued by how others deal with grief, because it's such an emotion we don't talk about, but it's probably the strongest of the emotions, because you have zero control over it. And I was a little afraid to talk to him about it, because I know my past with grief, and I know what talking about that does for me, but I'm also a different kind of person when it comes to that. So, I did try to clear with him beforehand. So, but you could just tell that he has such a close relationship, that these are relationships that he's building with these players. And Colby Cave was a player that, he's right. Like, teams were going to line up to sign him, because he's a special kind of player that everything rolls off his back. And you hear all these stories afterwards. And like you said, it's hard when you have to hear these stories following the time that they happen. And after a tragedy, you hear the greatness that these people were. And I say people. I don't even want to talk to him about him as a player, because he seemed like, from everything you hear, he was just a great person. And it's sad, the world we live in, we're so obsessed with stats and on ice and everything that these players are doing, and everything they do wrong, and the turnovers and the goals and the lack of goals and things like that, sometimes we miss out on the human of it. And it takes a tragedy like Colby Cave to learn about the human of them. And Colby Cave just seemed like he was a good human. And honestly, I learned after I asked Jason to come on that he was Colby Cave's agent. I remember reading articles with quotes from Jason, but I guess I just didn't put two and two together. I mainly saw that he was his agency had represented Damon Severson, and that is where the reason why I brought him on. But then when I saw he represented Colby Cave, I was like, you know what, this is something that I've dealt with, and I'm sure a lot of people who are listening have dealt with some kind of grief in their life, and maybe hearing how people get through it can help a little bit. I don't know. But that's just kind of my thought process and how it worked there. But Sam, I know we're going to have to pivot quite considerably now because we went from something that's putting tears in our eyes to, trying to have fun and games again. But
yeah,
I just felt like it was important.
It was important. It was a great question. I remember us talking about it beforehand about a week ago, and I completely forgot about it. And those are. I mean, honestly, I've never had a teary eye on this podcast ever. You know what I mean? Yeah. But, the story touched everybody. The picture that his wife put out was, I remember sharing it on my own personal Facebook feed and just everybody, just the heartbroken. But you felt it and I felt it. Everybody felt it. And Omar writes, you are inspiring guys. Good night. But, all right. So we're going to switch gears because Vinny and I are going to be playing the game very soon. I should probably get him on, right?
Yeah. Let's go get Vinny.
All right.
Whew, and then I'll pivot this as much as I possibly can. Thanks for, folks, I hope you really like that Jason Davidson interview because I learned a lot. I was at the edge of my seat for a lot of it. I really enjoyed a lot of things he said. He kind of gave us some insight that I didn't expect. He kind of opened the door wide open and learning about, Papa Severson going with Damon after he got drafted. They went to a baseball game. Like it's just those fun little tidbits that we're trying to bring to you as the New Jersey Devils fans, because I think that this is what we want to have fun. Again, that last part was important. It wasn't fun, but the rest of that interview was a lot of fun. Learning about the life of a sports agent, how he got into it. I had no idea that he was working with rodeo with the rodeo workers, and I think that livestock IQ is something I'm going to slip into my daily conversations and just see if people notice. Benji Stone, I thought that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins was a free agent at first too, but I believe he's a free agent next year. I got to double check that, but I noticed that you guys are having a conversation about free agencies and adding some players in the chat, and I love it. But I literally wrote a big article about free agency last week that you should all check out. To the free agents that you should check in this return to play. I wrote three sentences about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and realized that he is not a free agent this year. So actually, I'm going to check that right now because I'm trying to figure out where that's coming from. I think it's one of the websites, maybe it's Spot Track, has that as a mistake. I don't think. I'm just going to look at it right now. Yeah, so he's got one more season at $6 million, 2020, 2021. He's still under contract next season, so he's going to be a free agent next year, according to Cap Friendly. Maybe Cap Friendly's mistaken, but I tend to trust them more than anybody in the business. They're one of the best in the business, so I'm going with that. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins still has one more year left on his salary, but he's a player that he would interest the heck out of me because another former number one overall pick. He's a player that I don't know what he's worth. I'd be very curious. You know what? What did Jordan Eberle end up getting last year? I remember he was a player that I thought was going to get way overpaid. He ended up staying with the Islanders. So he got $5.5 million a year. I think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to make more than that, but he might end up being worth it because he could play center and wing, so he could kind of fit next to Hughes. But again, we'd have to wait till next season to make that happen.
Well, I'm back.
I see you're back. I was waiting for you to go. I was going to see if you were going to talk if I didn't just introduce you.
Well, I'm back because you know what took me so long to get Vinny Parisi on the.
What's that?
Well, this is the reason why it took so long as I'm stalling here because I got to fix his graphic. the reason why it took me so long as I'm stretching it to get Vinny Parisi was I was talking a little trash, letting him know that I am on a winning streak. He was he had some fighting words off air, and I'm not nervous. I'm ready to take Vinny Parisi on. Okay, enough of the stalling. I fixed his graphic. On the Nova Product Design Hotline from Pucks and Pitchforks blog, we have the infamous Vinny Parisi. Vinny, you're on with the Woo and Nick. Are you ready to break my streak, or am I just going to flatten you on the ground?
Sam Wu and Nick Villano, good to talk to you guys. I'm going to destroy you. Like, I lost you last time. I'm pretty sure I'm going to take you down now. So let's get this thing going.
Craig Best, I don't know if he's your best friend. Craig Best writes in the Facebook group, Vindog. I guess you got a fan base right now. You got a fan base right now. All right, let's start
Vinny. Vinny needs to run a masterclass on how to build a following, because I remember, and I'll tell this real quick, but what was it, Vinny? 2 years ago, he lost access to his Twitter account, one that he was building, and you have 4 times the followers on the one that you had to make a new one and start from scratch, and this kid has 4 times the followers. He's actually catching up to the Pucks and Pitchforks blog, which I guess says something about me. I need to build our follower base a little bit more on the Twitter. I thought I was doing pretty good. Why are you calling timeout, Sam? I didn't even.
Vinny, in all seriousness, off the air, I think you should teach a master class to Beer Baron, Shorts Guy, and Scotty, because getting Beer Baron specifically to even do anything on social media is like pulling teeth. Tell him how to do it.
Yeah, for sure. So, real quick, like you said, I got hacked on Twitter on my old account, and I had no access to it. And so I told all my friends, hey, report it. Tell them that, this account got hacked. He wants it back. And then so I figured out a way to log back in, and then the account got suspended from all my friends reporting the account, and it was banned for life, and I couldn't contact Twitter. So I ended up just making a new one, and ended up being a blessing in disguise. So if any of those guys need help, I'll help them out. But I owe a lot of credit to Nick for helping me.
Great.
Listen, I told you. I was telling them we got exciting news coming from Fansided. So if you want to jump in, become a writer, write a little bit, fansided.com/join. We'll and if you like baseball, Vinny could get you in touch with some people. But again, that's neither here nor there. It's time to play the game. All right. So tonight's game has. I couldn't think of a name, so we're just going to go with it's called Stat Toppers. It's not really based on any game show this week. Unfortunately, I couldn't really put those two together, but I know on Puck Soup, friend of the podcasts, Ryan Lambert and Greg Wyszynski, they switch every week to play games, and a lot of their games entail you to picking how many you're going to pick. Anyway, I just wanted to give them a little credit because I did take their idea and put it to the New Jersey Devils. So how we're going to play this game is I'm going to give you a player who led the team in scoring in 1 year. And then Sam and Vinny, you're going to negotiate how many of the top stat makers that you need to guess what year that team played. So say if Vinny tells me he can do it in 7 players, Sam tells me he can do it in 5 players, then Sam gets to guess, and then I'll give him the 5 top stat getters of that season, and then you try to tell me what year that season was.
Vinny, you go first.
I got it. Yeah, I'll take it. I got it. If I fail miserably, they could all laugh at me. They do anyway.
All right, so I'm going to start with my perception of the easiest one. This year, Brian Giunta was the highest scoring Devil on the team. Vinny, how many players would you need to guess what year this was?
I'll say 3.
Sam, could you do it in less than 3, or is Vinny guessing?
2.
Okay. Vinny, can you do it with no more guesses? With just Gianta?
I think I got it.
Okay. So in this year, Brian Gianta scored 89 points. Vinny, can you guess what year this was?
There was only one year where he was like...
Get off the Google, Vinny.
I'm going to say 2006.
Okay. For future reference, first of all, you're wrong. But second of all, we had to say the full year. So 2006-07 or 05-06. But either way, that is incorrect. Sam, can you guess it in 2? The second highest scorer on the team was Scott Gomez with 84.
2006-2007.
Incorrect. It was 2007-2008, in which Brian Gianta was the top leading scorer. Fun fact about that: I traded Brian Gianta. I traded Teemu Selanne for Brian Gianta that season.
Wait a second. That's impossible, is it?
I'm looking. Unless ESPN got it wrong, I'm literally looking at it.
It's wrong because Gomez was not even on the team.
Hold on. I'm literally. I didn't even write this down.
Hold on a sec. I got some great background music as your, Oh,
you're right. What the heck is this? Oh, great. Now I gotta hold on.
Oh, you're trying to jip me, huh? Oh,
I see. You tell ESPN to get their stuff together. I'm literally staring at ESPN. All right.
Hold on a sec.
All right.
Oh man.
The rest of them, I'm going to go to Hockey Reference. But
all I care about is going on to Hockey Reference later and seeing if 05-06 was the year Gianta had a career high score.
You know what? I have a microphone on Facebook Live, and let me play it for you, Vinny.
Man, that's annoying. That's making me look bad, Sam. All right.
Well, because
that's fine.
The only reason why I say that is because I remember in 06-07, the 07 season when the Devils moved to Newark, Scott Gomez lied to us. I'll see you in Newark in October.
You're right.
I went to the Rangers.
Oh, man, I can't trust the thing ESPN says now. Well, that's my fault for going to ESPN. I just like the way that they put stats together. But now I can't trust them. I got to think back about articles I've written based on the way ESPN keeps stats. That's terrible. All right. We're going to move on. Sam, you get to guess first on this one. I'm going to give you the point, Sam, because I think that you're correct. I think it was the season before. Congratulations, Sam.
It could be Vinny. It could be Vinny, though. It could be Vinny.
I'll double check. I'm going to double check because now I'm just floored while you guys are figuring out. But in the season I'm talking about now, and this is from Hockey Reference, so this should be right, Scott Stevens was the highest scoring player on the team. Sam, how many people on this team do you need to guess the year that this happened?
1.
Okay, what year is this?
Now, is it when he was with the Devils?
Yeah, these are all Devils seasons.
Okay. 93-94.
It's another point for Sam.
Booyah!
Oh, yeah, this is all kinds of wrong. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. ESPN, you stink. All right.
Had to be top 2.
So, Vinny, you get to enter the next one. This year, Jaromir Jagr was the highest scoring player on the Devils.
Ooh, so it's got to be 14 or 15 would be my guess. Jaromir Jagr, I'll say. I'm going to go 13, 14.
Oh, he's just guessing. Okay. 13, 14 is correct.
Yeah, it's one of the 2 years he was on the team. But then the second year, so it had to be the first one. Because he got traded to Florida, if I remember correctly.
He did. All right. So, Sam, wait, what the hell is this? All right. All right, Sam. Your player is Steve Thomas. How many players do you need to guess what year Steve Thomas was the leader in the clubhouse?
Leader in the clubhouse for what?
Points. We're doing points.
I need one player.
Okay. Steve Thomas had 61 points in what year?
1996. Oh, it's 95, 96. Sorry. Jeez.
Okay. That's correct. This is backfiring on me gloriously. This is the worst, but okay. 95, 96. Point goes to Sam. This is where things get hard. The next one.
Even Vinny's getting this right.
Oh, shut up. The next one for leader in the clubhouse is for Vinny. Patrick Eliash was the leader this season.
Oh, man. He only led the Devils in scoring one time?
No, I'm saying this was just this particular year he was the leader. So you have to tell me how many players and stats you need for me to tell you, for you to guess. Well, yeah, you got it.
Let's go. Yeah, okay, I get it now. That makes sense. Let's go 4 players.
Sam?
I just need one.
Okay. Sam, what year did Patrick Elias lead the Devils in points?
I'm totally guessing here, 2000 and 2001.
That's incorrect. That's not the year I'm talking about. So, Vinny, I will give you the 4 players, and you tell me if you can guess. Patrick Elias led the team with 81 points. I think number 4 is going to really help you here. So, number 2 was Scott Gomez with 70 points. Number 3 was Scott Niedermeyer with 54 points. And number 4 was Jeff Friesen with 37 points. What year was this?
I'm going to go 03-04.
03-04 is correct.
Let's go.
Vinny keeps himself in the game.
Because if it would have been like Zach Parise or Ilya Kovalchuk, it would have been like in the early 2010. I like this game.
All right. Sam, this is right up your alley. Now let's see if you can do this. Kirk Muller was the leader in the clubhouse in this year.
That's a tough one. I would give 2.
Okay, Vinny, can you do it in 1, or do you want Sam to guess?
I have a year in mind, but I'll go 2 as well and let Sam guess.
Okay, Sam. Kirk Muller this season had 94 points. Aaron Broughton had 83 points. What year was this?
1989 to 90.
That's incorrect. So I'll give you one more, Vinny. Pat Verbeek had 77 points. What year was this?
I'm going to go with the first year the Devils ever made the playoffs, 87-88.
That is correct. And the comeback to make it tied is in. So now I'm going to right, you know what we're gonna do? This is how we'll be making this fun. We are going to have you guys name, going back and forth, the stat leaders of the Devils this season. So, starting from the top, you have to tell me the leaders until one of you gets it wrong. So, Vinny, you go first. Who led the New Jersey Devils in points?
That would be Kyle Palmieri.
Kyle Palmieri is correct. Sam, who was the second highest point getter on the New Jersey Devils this season?
Nico Hischier?
Ooh, he was third. Nikita Gusev, number 2, which means that, Sam, a losing streak has begun for you. Losing streak of 1.
This is BS. You just gave him an empty net goal with Kyle Palmieri.
How did you not get Nico Gusev? Nikita Gusev.
This game is under this. Hold on a sec. I'm gonna mute everybody because I gotta say my piece. You're muted, Nick. You are muted, Vinny. Let me just tell you something. This game is under protest. I want verification on all these answers. And secondly, I'm just being a sore loser. I'll unmute you.
I thought you had this in the bag, Sam. It seemed like you were on your way to a monster victory, and you were I thought you were going to come out maybe 5-1 on this one, and then all of a sudden you played like the 2004 Yankees. It's not good.
You should have more.
Did you not eat your Wheaties today, Sam? It seems like you ran out of steam there.
No, I just faced a social media king called Vinny Parisi at Vinny Parisi on Twitter. For all you people on Facebook Live and Twitter and Periscope that's watching, I hope you find his password and type it in. Anyway.
Vinny, what do you got coming up on the blog this week?
I'm working on some stuff for the playoffs, who to watch, what to care about. We got some draft picks on the line, playing time for specific players, a specific defenseman on the Carolina Hurricanes. Today, some kid sent me a DM begging me to help get Nico Hischier trending in New Jersey. And I live in Illinois, so I didn't get to see it on my own phone, but I guess it worked. And then the Devils got involved, and me and them were having a conversation back and forth. So lots of Hischier talk on Twitter today. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, we're keeping the Devils talk going on the Twitterverse, on the Twitter.
We deserve a medal.
So that's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. But Vinny, I look forward to those pieces. And you're sending your picks for the Pucks and Pitchforks picks too, right? For Friday?
Yes, sir. They will probably be in tonight at some point. I'm still working on them.
All right, perfect. Oh yeah, but yeah, and I'll plug that. But Vinny, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll have you on again soon.
Anytime, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks again.
That is Vinny Parisi at Pucks and Pitchforks blog, taking on the Woo. Brought in his A game. You could call him the steamroller after being down so badly in the beginning with all the controversy of the statistician. I don't know. I will have to go back to the replay. I will have to verify these stats before you can officially call Vinny a winner, but he's the projected winner right now. I feel like we're talking about an election or whatever. Anyway, I
was going to say, is CNN going to declare him the winner? Is that what's happening now?
It's gonna have a check mark at Vinny's head.
No, I am honestly, Sam, I am floored at how bad ESPN was at keeping stats, because I looked at 2 other years that I had listed. So what I had 2 years from Hockey Reference and 3 years from ESPN. Because like I said, I just liked how ESPN lays out their stats. It's much easier to read. But all 3 years were wrong. They were the wrong years. They had 1 year that Zach Parise was the leader in the clubhouse, and he wasn't even on the team yet. Sam, I apologize. I got to apologize to the viewers, because that's we come to have a certain expectation here on the Let's Go Devils podcast, and ESPN has let me down. You know what? I'm going to have to email friend of the podcast, Greg Wyshynski, and just tell him, like, hey, you guys got to get better on the hockey stats.
Yeah, so maybe we shouldn't trash ESPN too much. If we want,
listen. I'm not trashing ESPN. I think they have a lot of really good writers, but you can get the stats wrong on a sports website.
Yeah, that's true. It's their analytics. It's the analytics of the worldwide sports company. Anyway.
But Sam, just a real quick plug. Like I said, we do have our picks are going on Friday morning. So when you wake up on Friday, our picks for the return to play round of 24 will be in from all of the Pucks and Pitchforks writers. We have a couple really cool pieces up. I chronicled some of the prospects that never really lived up to the hype, but I think we had that last week. So I think I piped that in last week. And then 5 free agents that y'all should be looking at during the return to play playoffs and all that. Just kind of the players you should be looking at the Devils could be interested in. And, you know, I've got a lot more prospect pieces coming out, a lot more history pieces coming out, a lot more free agency pieces coming out. There's just a lot that are working on. I have a whole list of just slideshows, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And again, I've plugged it a couple times, but fansided.com/join. If you want to become a writer, we got some exciting announcements coming out, and you know, we'll take you on the team, and we'll teach you how to write.
Awesome. I want to thank our special guest Jason Davidson for coming on. Great interview. Also, I want to thank Vinny for putting up with my sore loserness and the booze.
We're piping in crowd noise now.
Yeah. Fake crowd noises, you know, just like on TV. And I want to thank the viewers. You can find the podcast tonight, wherever you download your podcast. Till next time, let's go Devils.